My name is Demetriana, but my friends call me Demi, and welcome to my channel. Welcome to all of you watching me on YouTube and on Rumble. I see you there too. So today I'm just going to do an update video on the birth control that I've been using. I did a previous video where I discussed why I chose non-hormonal birth control and why I chose spermicide. So if you want to know more about that thought process, you can check out that video. It's going to be up here in the info area up above. So my husband uses condoms. I have used spermicide, and we had started using that like late August when we were on our honeymoon, and we have been using condoms and spermicide for about a month. And as you saw from the thumbnail, I don't want to use it anymore, and so I just wanted to talk about that and explain some factors that I believe contribute to it. I did a little research also just to see if there's anything that I was not aware of that could have caused me to get a UTI. And also, just so you know, I'm gonna be talking openly about sex and intercourse on this channel. There may be people that have issues with that, but listen, I'm comfortable talking about these topics. I think it's important to talk about these topics. Not to be crude, but to be honest about how these things are. And I think that would help people, in general. So I'm just gonna be open about it, just to put it out there. I'm gonna be using terms, penis, vagina. I'm using those terms. When my husband and I got married, we didn't start having penetrative sex at that point because we wanted to just ease into that because we both got married as virgins and we wanted to take our time. So we were being intimate in other ways, but we just weren't having sex. And so we didn't start having sex until our honeymoon. And at that point was when we started to use the contraception. It was definitely an experience, and it hurt. Like, it was kind of uncomfortable at times, and because of the spermicide, it was really slippery, and I talked about that in my other video too. But yeah, so that was, kind of tricky. And, no UTI though. So in the weeks following our honeymoon, we would continue to have sex, of course, and, we would have penetrative sex. It wasn't until, maybe 2 weeks ago where he finally, my vagina finally got used to everything because, I never had sex before, so it took time. And he finally, penetrated, and we were going at it for a while. About 2 days later, that was when I started to feel a burning sensation when I would urinate, and there was a little bit of blood that came out. And I was like, this isn't normal. And I immediately was thinking, okay, that's a UTI. So I did what I had to do, contacted my provider, got a prescription, picked up my antibiotics, took care of it. So I'm good. Reflecting on that, I definitely think that there were some things involved with how I got a UTI. One of them being spermicide. And so definitely, I don't think spermicide itself is bad, but there can be a risk of UTIs if using a spermicide. But when I was doing my research, it was saying that if there are women, because women are a lot more prone to get UTIs than men, and so it was saying if you are prone to UTIs, it's not recommended that you use a spermicide. And I never had a UTI before, so I was like, oh, okay, cool. I've never had one before. And so then I got one. And yeah, I think that definitely played a role. Another factor is, and because I've been really trying to think, because I knew this before. I'd heard of this before, but I don't even remember if I did this. But it is recommended to prevent UTIs to use the bathroom after having sex in order to clean out any kind of bacteria. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and read off of Healthline. I'll put the link to the article I'm reading from in the description. So the question is, can you get a UTI from having sex? Yes, you can get a UTI from having sex, especially if you're a woman. During sexual intercourse, Thrusting can introduce bacteria up the urethra and into the bladder, increasing the risk of a UTI, explains Dr. Lakeisha Richardson, MD, OB/GYN. How can you reduce your risk for a UTI after sex? Although it might not be possible to come up with a completely foolproof plan to prevent a UTI, you can certainly take steps to reduce your risk for getting a UTI after sex. Here are some tips. One helpful tip is to always urinate after sex. Eliminating any bacteria in the bladder after sex decreases the risk of a UTI. Some doctors also recommend urinating before sex to lower the risk of a UTI. Washing your genital area with warm water before sex can reduce the risk of bacteria getting into the urethra. And some contraceptives, such as diaphragms or spermicides, may increase your risk for a UTI. If you think either of these may be contributing to your UTI, consider other forms of contraception. I want to say that I urinated after having sex every single time. I don't know. I can't say for sure. Cause I don't keep track of how often I pee. I just don't. It's weird. But I'm just going to, assume that maybe I didn't pee. Maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm like, the one thing I'm thinking it might have been, there was a lot more thrusting going on. Like, I know this might sound awkward for people to talk about, but I'm just trying to be honest and real about this. So yeah, I think that, because there was a lot more activity going on, that might have been a contributor. And so I think it's multiple factors. I think it's the spermicide. I also think it's that. The thrusting and all that stuff. And maybe I didn't urinate after sex. I'm not totally sure. But either way, I'm just going to stop with the spermicide just in case and just use condoms. So yeah, that's what my husband and I, we talked about it because UTIs suck. Oh my gosh, it was really bad. And yeah, I don't want that to happen again. So I'm just gonna stop using spermicides. We're just gonna use condoms. So my coworker and I, we were having a conversation, not in deep detail about all of this, but just about birth control in general. She's not married, but she was saying, and I think she made a good point, that a lot of us as women, we do a whole lot to try not to have kids. And we should just leave it up to the Lord. If we're not married and we don't want kids, as unpopular as this is, we just shouldn't be having sex. Because it's almost like our society wants us to, just completely disregard the fact that having sex could lead to children. That's how God designed it. Yes, sex is very pleasurable, but it also brings children. Well, we can't, reverse that. That's just how it is. We're on the pill, we're using spermicides, we're doing all kinds of stuff just to keep us from having kids. Even as Christian married couples, we're yeah, children are a blessing, but we don't want them right now. I think it really just does say something about our culture, that even as Christians, we go out of our way to not have children, even to the detriment of our bodies. Now I'm talking about women specifically, because with men, they don't really have to deal with that. We as women, we subjugate our bodies to hormones and all kinds of things, spermicides, creams, gels, all kinds of stuff, just so we don't have to have children. And I think that's something that we need to reflect on. And I have been hearing people have conversations about this, where we see children as such a burden, as speed bumps to the trajectory, to our progress, to what we want to do in our lives. And I admit, I have fallen into that. And although I would still prefer for us to wait a year before we have kids, if I end up getting pregnant, then at the very least, I'm married to a wonderful man, and he has shown in different ways how he would be a great father, and I would not be scared. Yes, it would be challenging, but we are doing it in God's order, and that's what's important. Okay, well, please share down in the comments below your experience with spermicide. Have you experienced what I've experienced? Yeah, let's just have a conversation, Or, you know, what is your thoughts about how our culture feels about bearing children and why we try so hard to not have kids? I don't know, or maybe you completely disagree and you're like, no, like we need to think about, you know, overpopulation. Like it's important, it's responsible to not bring children into an overpopulated world where we have limited resources. I would love to hear your perspectives on this topic. Thank you all so much for watching. Please, you know, subscribe, like this video, and also look me up on Instagram at DemiDixon34. I don't really post a whole lot, but I'm mostly active in my stories, so you might catch something there. Or if you want to have a conversation in the DMs, you know, about this topic, you don't want to be in the comments, you want to do a one-on-one there, that's cool too. Alright, well, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.